Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It is your favorite dark sorcerer here. And today, well, I should say tonight, since it is 11:35 p.m., I'd like to talk to you a little bit about witchcraft names. What do I mean by witchcraft names? Okay? I'm not talking about taking a demon's name as your own. I'm not talking about, you as a practitioner being given a name by a coven. Now, one of the things I've noticed through social media is a lot of people don't have the education when it comes to what a practitioner is named. Okay? So I thought I would do a short video and kind of discuss some of these names. Okay. Now, here in the colonies, okay, the colonies of North America, okay, a witch is derived from the European tradition. Okay. And what's interesting here is that the two common associations with witchcraft today is witch and warlock. Okay, a lot of individuals when they automatically go to breaker, deceiver, betrayer. Okay, but when you get down into say Germanic, okay, you get into Welsh, you get into other traditions, other regions of the world, you literally are broken down in seeing how a warlock is basically the same thing as a medicine man or a magi, a brujo. Okay. And we're going to get into some of this stuff here. So, the two most common names is witch and warlock. But let's go back in history from present day. When we get into the old world, let's say the Middle Eastern traditions, say, oh, I don't know, let's go with Babylonia, Sumeria, Akkadian regions. Get into, let's go with Chaldean, or, just that overall section. You have what is known as the Magi. You have the Sage. Now, the Sage is a female practitioner, okay, of some form of occultism, witchcraft, magical tradition of sorcery, just as a Magi or Magus is a male practitioner, okay? Now, this can be traced to Hermetics, it can be traced to the Kabbalah, it can be traced to a lot of those grimoires that were associated and are associated throughout the last 1,000 years. When we get into African traditions, you have the African Caribbean traditions, the Brujo and Baruja. Let me rephrase that. The Brujo and the Bruja. Okay. These are associated with Brujeria. You are seeing it within different traditions such as Santeria. Okay. Now in Santeria, Pero Mayambi, Quimbanda, Umbanda, you got the Polero. Okay. Now the Polero is broken down between two factions, the male and female. And in this case, you're seeing the same thing. However, just like in Voodoo, the Mamba, and the Hongan are male and female practitioners. But like any tradition, you've also got that light and dark side, just like in witchcraft. Remember when I said witch versus warlock, or witch and warlock. A warlock is always seen as evil. Just like in Pero Mayambi, you have the Mayambera, okay, who is considered evil. The Bokor within Vudan, okay. Even in Brujeria, you have the Brujo, okay. The Brujo is considered to be a sorcerer. It's considered to be a warlock, somebody who practices lesser forms of magic, things that are associated with black magic, divination, working with spirits for power, money, monetary gain, things like that. The same thing as a warlock. Okay. However, when we get into other older traditions, let's go back into Africa. Okay. Africa, you also have what is known as the Ashi, the Aji, even. Okay, the Aji is associated with medicine man. Now, what's ironic about this is the medicine man or the witch doctor. Okay, the witch doctor is according to African traditions, is the most feared. Okay, he is the one that supposedly knows everything there is to know about sorcery. Okay, a Bokor would fear such a man. Okay, and it's kind of ironic that females in this case do not and are not allowed to go up to that rank. Okay, there's a council of practitioners that are called. Let's just say that it's a very interesting council. Okay, of practitioners that are male dominated. Now, what's ironic here is that the witch doctor can undo any form of magic, according to the African traditions. This is between Malawi, Ethiopia, and the Congo region. All right. Now, what's interesting here is that the Bokor can easily become the Hangan or Memba, just like through an act of baneful sorcery, the Memba or Hangan can easily become the Bokor. Now, what's ironic is that I'm speaking here of the Bokor. In Haitian Voodoo is different from the mainstream. Now, the witch doctor is also known as a Bokor with a C, okay? Bocor, okay? Whereas the Bokor, the Bokor, is considered to be the same equivalent of a warlock, okay? This is somebody who sells their services. They work with spirits for power. They utilize black magic, sorcery, such as curses, hexes, and such. Okay, much in the same way as the old shamans used to do. Okay, the old witches. If somebody could not pay, they would trade for those sort services. Okay, and this is stuff that's been lost over time. But one of the things that I did find interesting is that when we transfer over into European countries from Africa, let's go into Romania or Italy. You have the strega, okay? The strega can be either male or female. It is a family lineage of Italian witchcraft, okay? Much in Romania is a family hereditary lineage. Okay. You've heard of the clans, you've heard of gypsies. Okay. Same exact thing. They're family lineage. They go from clan to clan to clan, but they stick to their particular form of sorcery. That's the only difference here. Okay. When we get into Swedish, you have the hexa. That's Haxa. Okay. Now, the hexa goes all the way back to the 6th century BC. Okay. BC. That's a very long time ago. Okay? This name has been lost over time. And what's interesting here is that when we get into these old names, you see how Brujeria means witchcraft. Hexa also means witchcraft. Interesting, isn't it? Have you ever thought about the names that you go by through your tradition? Be it a Polero, a Maya Barros, a Bruja, Bruo, Witch, Warlock, Strega, Eshin, Agi, Hexa, Witch, Warlock, Wizard. Wizard is Welsh. A lot of people get that mixed up with European. Yes, Welsh is now Britain, okay? England, okay? But here's the kicker. A lot of people see a wizard as somebody that's through European countries in Europe, Proto-German or Germanic, okay? Going all the way down and associating with both the Middle Eastern and Greek and Roman, much like a necromancer, the necromancy practices can go between ancient Greek, the art of Nicaea, for an example, okay, compared to its Roman back, and then back to the Greek with necromancy, okay? A necromancer is just another form of sorcerer that utilizes chiromancy, divination, works with spirits, be it spirits as in reincarnated, or I should say, how should I say this? Through demons, angels, even the Gaelic druids. Okay, even that's a very good topic right there, Lolan. The druid, however, you have what the druid is known as a wise oak in Gaelic. Okay, in Gaelic, when you look at the Duroc, for an example, and yes, that is an actual being, not just in Team Wolf. Okay, is known as a dark oak. Okay, it is the equivalent of a warlock, somebody who practices baneful sorcery. Now, if you look at Hans Holzer's book, Witches, and you get into, I want to say it's chapter 15, you see where warlocks are solitary practitioners. Solitary practitioners. Okay, much like a Duroc, much like a warlock, much like a Brua, okay, a Mayam Barros, even, or a Bokor. You see, they're solitary practitioners. Mastering some form of conjuration can be used for both beneficial, such as healing, counseling, or even destructive and baneful sorcery, such as curses, hexes. According to Hans Holzer, it comes down to that practitioner's mood, their temperament. You look at witches, for an example. Witches are practitioners that can practice both black and white magic. In African traditions, these practitioners were closely related to that of the king of that village, that particular tribe. Okay? And what's interesting here is that the king would not sanction any form of action, be it hunting, be it a war against a fellow, another tribe, without first talking to that practitioner. And that practitioner's hut was normally right next to the kings of that tribe. But again, you have to look at the law of the land, because what was lawful in one village is illegal in another. Okay. Obviously, today we live in a world where any form of witchcraft, sorcery, or magic is frowned upon, considered devil worship. You look at Brujeria, for an example. Prime example right there. It means witchcraft. A brew, a brewer is a female practitioner of witchcraft. Okay, she's able to practice both light and white and black magic, but so can't the brewer. People forget that. A lot of people look at things as being male dominated. Well, I can tell you, if you have the jobs similar to that I've had, I can tell you that there are women in power. Okay, but when you get into any form of sorcery, you want to look at the names of the practitioners. You want to get into the history, the mythology, because the definitions and the spellings are different. It's like, for example, the African Caribbean traditions. You look at the Dominican Republic compared to Haiti, okay? Papa and Mamba, or Mama, okay? Compared to the Hungan and Memba in Haiti, okay? You got the Polero, the Bruja, the Mayambero, okay? The Bruja, rather. All of these names are different. Every single one of them. Every single one of them. And you really want to look, because just because they originated in Africa does not mean they're going to have the same tradition. They're not going to have the same meanings behind their names, especially of the practitioner, because each one is different. Okay? It is like the same thing when you get into, say, Slavic witchcraft. You get into that of Buddhism, get into Hinduism, even, and you're going to be seeing a whole different system, a whole different naming of these practitioners. It would be like getting into the JCI and going, okay, you have a Catholic, a Baptist, an Apostolic, a Pentecostal, a Jehovah Witness. You see the point there. Just because they come from either a European country or that of the African does not mean they're the same. And it does not mean that they're capable of doing what people today say they are. Because you got to remember that a lot of the newcomers who are coming into these traditions come in with a chip on their shoulders. And it's run by ego. It's about popularity. They're very haughty. And they don't have a firm grasp of history or mythology. So you really got to do your homework and delve into not just one tradition, but expand into all of them. Okay? And that's the point of this video. I wanted to point that out to you. So I want to thank Lolan for jumping on here and bringing up a couple of good things. And for those of you who will be coming on, I hope this has been enlightening, educational, and I hope you look into them. All right? Look into the different names, the different regions, and how they were seen, how they were viewed. Okay? It's a very big picture. And it may be overwhelming for some of you who are just beginning your tradition. Okay? But the more you delve in, the more notes you take, the more you associate with that system, the more you're going to learn, the more you're going to grow. All right? Have a good night.